In the 3rd year of our relationship, he cheated. I immediately abandoned the mission and returned to my original world. All I left him was a corpse. 2 in the morning, I sat on the sofa wrapped in a light blanket, waiting for Derek to come home. A soft click sounded at the entry as a house key turned the lock. I didn't move, only slowly lifted my eyes. Derek stepped inside. He carried the chill of midnight on his skin, and the sweet, cloying scent of a perfume that wasn't mine. It was sugary, flirtatious. My gaze settled on the crisp white dress shirt he wore. At the collar, a glaring splotch of scarlet bloomed in the perfect shape of a lipstick mark. He loosened his tie, walked over, and tried to hug me. "Why are you still awake?" I didn't answer, only watched him in silence. He shrugged off his suit jacket, draped it over the back of a chair, and headed for the bathroom. "I'm going to take a quick shower." The door shut. Within seconds the rush of water filled the room. I picked up his jacket, slipping my hand into the inside pocket. My fingers met a small, square foil packet. I pulled it out. An unopened condom, strawberry flavored. I closed my fist around the tiny square until my palm throbbed as if every nerve ending had split. I remembered the first time I met Derek, 3 years ago, when I'd just arrived in this world. He'd been in a white shirt then too, standing in sunlight, as clean and straight as a poplar. He'd said, "Hi, I'm Derek." The system told me that if I made him fall in love with me, the mission would be complete and I'd earn my reward. I spent a full 3 years turning him into Ashford, the man everyone envied, the man who supposedly loved me more than life itself. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with him too, only to discover that love me more than life was an act. Playing along was the reality. I tossed the condom, along with the 3 ridiculous years of my youth, into the trash. "Tomorrow, I leave." The water stopped. Derek came out in a towel, hair dripping, skin carrying the familiar scent of the shower gel I always used. How ironic. He was washing away another woman's traces with my soap. He approached, warm steam still rising off his body, arms opening to pull me close. "Babe, work was crazy tonight. I'm beat." There was a boyish lilt to his voice, the same one that had lulled me on countless nights. But before his arms could wrap around me, I instinctively shifted away. His arms froze midair. I lowered my gaze, refusing to meet his eyes. "I have a business trip tomorrow. I still have files to finish." It was a lie, and also a heads up. "Derek, I'm leaving." He was silent for a moment, then withdrew his hands. Tone calm again. "All right, don't stay up too late." I said nothing more and walked to the study. Behind me, his gaze burned into my back. I could feel it, but I didn't turn around. The study was dark. I crossed to the floor-to-ceiling window and stared at the heavy night outside. This city, once my idea of home, sparkled with 10,000 lights. Yet none were lit for me. Real disillusionment strikes in an instant. Real departures are soundless. No confrontation, no screaming, just an ordinary night when you decide to be gone by dawn. I didn't cry. I only felt a sudden hollow in my chest, through which an icy wind howled. "Derek. Goodbye. No, farewell forever." When I woke the next morning, Derek had already left. Calmly, I walked into the walk-in closet and pulled out the suitcase I hadn't touched in ages. I folded my clothes one by one and arranged them neatly inside. The expensive gowns and jewelry he'd given me, I left every single piece. I would take only what was mine. Passing the living room, I noticed the light blanket still lying on the sofa, what I'd wrapped around me the night before. It seemed to hold a faint remnant of my warmth, and also the ghost of that alien perfume that had clung to him. I remembered the day we moved in, how he'd held me in front of this same window, pointed at the city lights and said, "From now on, this is our home." His arms had been warm then, his eyes full of starlight. I thought I'd finally found the resting place for my wandering soul. Now I saw it for the one-sided joke it had always been. I set the house key on the console table, suitcase in hand. I opened the door, then pulled it gently shut behind me. The lock clicked softly. Night deepened. At Velvet, the city's most exclusive club, neon lights pulsed and bass thundered. Derek lounged in a velvet booth, a cigarette between his fingers that he never lit, only spun idly. Lee Howe, one of his buddies, nudged him and grinned. "Bro, did you spend last night on your knees washing clothes?" When Jason saw that lipstick mark, "Did she tear you apart?" Another man, Jason, frowned, glass in hand, worry lining his face. "Derek, I think the prank went too far this time. One lipstick print and that thing in your pocket? What if Jason's took it seriously?" Derek chuckled, flicked the unlit cigarette onto the table, and sipped his drink. Confidence and arrogance flickered across his face. "Seriously? She didn't ask a single question last night, just said she had a trip and gave me an easy out. You guys don't get it." He sank deeper into the sofa, smugness coloring every word. "She loves me to the bone. How could she ever leave me? I'll head home tonight. Explain I lost a bet. Tell her it was only a joke. A little sweet talk, and all her anger melts away." Lee Howe chimed in, "Exactly. Our Derek's the man. Jason's can't get enough of him. At midnight, slightly drunk, Derek returned home. He stepped into the entry and, out of habit, called, "Babe, I'm back." Dead silence answered him. Even the scent of the lily diffuser I loved seemed faint, as though it, too, had slipped away. The lights were off. He frowned and flipped the switch. Brightness flooded the room, yet the place felt colder, emptier. The shoes I wore every day were gone from the shoe rack. My favorite coat had vanished from the hooks. Panic flashed through him. He strode to the bedroom. My half of the walk-in closet stood barren. On the vanity, every bottle and jar, my creams, perfumes, had disappeared. Even the kitty pattern toothbrush and towel in the bathroom were missing. Every trace of me had been erased, so cleanly, so thoroughly. It was as if I'd never existed. The alcohol in his veins evaporated, replaced by an arctic chill shooting from his soles to his skull. He tore through the apartment, shouting my name over and over. The tone shifted from bewilderment to alarm, and finally to trembling terror. But the only reply was the echo of his own voice. At last, on the nightstand beneath the lamp, he found the slip of paper. His hand shook so violently he could hardly lift it. My handwriting stared back at him. "Since you cheated, I want nothing more to do with a man who's stained." He dialed my number like a madman, once, twice, countless times. Each time the same cold recording greeted him. "The number you have reached is currently unavailable." Dawn came and went. Night fell again. Derek mobilized every connection the Ashford family possessed, turning the city upside down. Like a caged beast, eyes bloodshot, he vacillated between frenzy and despair. When Lee Howe and Jason burst in, they found him slumped on the carpet amid a scatter of cigarette butts. "Derek, don't do this to yourself. Jason's just needs to cool off. Maybe she went on a trip." Lee Howe's voice faded, empty of conviction. Jason surveyed the wreckage and rasped, "Derek, I'm sorry. This is our fault." Derek ignored them, gaze nailed to the phone, praying for the tiniest flicker of news. He remembered an afternoon long ago when we sat on a riverside bench. Sunlight was gentle, river breeze lifting my hair. I'd leaned on his shoulder and murmured, "Derek, where do you think people go after they die?" He'd pulled me closer then, lips brushing my hair. "Silly, don't talk like that. You're not going anywhere. You're staying with me for life." The domineering tone in his voice had once been the promise that made me feel safest. But now, he was the one who'd pushed me away. The ring of the phone sliced through the silence. Derek practically lunged for it. On the other end was the man he'd sent to search for me. "Young Master Derek, we found her. At Riverside. Could you come and see?" After that, Derek heard nothing but a high-pitched whine. Riverside. By the time he arrived, police tape already fluttered around the scene. A crowd pressed behind it. He shoved through, one heavy step after another. Someone lay on the ground, draped in a white sheet. His own breathing froze. Jason tried to catch his arm. Derek flung him off. He stopped at the sheet, hand shaking so violently he couldn't bring himself to lift it, as though the thin cotton hid an abyss waiting to swallow him. In the end, a staff member drew the cloth back for him. It was me. My face was peaceful, as if I were simply asleep, only bloodless. Pale as frost, Derek stared, hollow, soul ripped clean out of his body. He didn't believe it. Not a single word. Impossible. She was just angry, throwing a tantrum. She couldn't be lying here. Inside the city morgue, the air conditioning hummed frigid. Derek saw me stretched on the steel table, motionless. He moved forward with the slow caution of someone walking on knives. He reached out, brushing my cheek. It was icy, savagely cold. No warmth. No warmth ever again. His legs buckled. He sank to his knees beside the bed. Grief and terror crashed over him like a tide, clutching my cold hand. He pressed it to his burning cheek, rubbing again and again. "Babe," his voice cracked. Broken glass soaked in tears. "I was wrong. I was so wrong. I shouldn't have joked like that. I'm scum." Words tumbled out, frantic. Fat drops of tears battered my unfeeling skin. It was all fake, truth or dare. They lost. They set me up. That lipstick mark. Howley pressed it on. The condom. He slipped it into my pocket. "I've never touched anyone else. Only you. Babe, I just wanted to see you jealous. I never thought you'd actually leave me." He bowed his head, burrowing my palm against his face. "Wake up, okay? Hit me. Scream at me. Anything. Just get up, please. Please open your eyes and look at me." The morgue was empty. Only his desperate pleas echoed. But the woman on that table would never answer. He had thought I loved him to the marrow, that I could never walk away. He was wrong, grotesquely wrong. He learned that real resignation finds even questions pointless. That real good bye doesn't bother speaking the word in the cruelest way possible. I told him, "I don't want you. Not now. Not ever." Third year back in the ordinary world. I'd found a new job and, in a way, a new heart. My boyfriend now is Aiden, an art teacher at Riverdale. Gentle, quiet, like a clear spring. He knows nothing of my past. To him I'm just a slightly aloof girl who sometimes stares out of windows. Aiden is not Derek. He never watches me with that predatory possessiveness. He remembers a film I casually mention, slips hand warmers into my coat before a cold snap, hums off-key lullabies when nightmares jolt me awake. Bit by bit he glued back the trust and hope Derek had shattered. I believed I could finally turn the page, until that afternoon when a voice I hadn't heard in 3 years cracked open my skull. I was watering the balcony plants. The pot trembled, water spilling everywhere. The system. I thought it had vanished the day I abandoned the mission. Derek. A name entombed beneath 3 years of dust. So what? In the most brutal way, I'd ended those 3 absurd years of love. That evening Aiden came home, saw my pallor, and pressed a hand to my forehead. Feeling sick? I shook my head, forcing a smile. Just tired. He asked no more. Simply went to the kitchen and cooked me a bowl of steaming noodle soup. After we ate, he laced his fingers through mine and took me out for our nightly walk. The night breeze was cool, rinsing away some of the day's heaviness. Aiden's hand was warm, dry and steady, wrapping my cold fingertips. What's on your mind? He asked softly. I'm thinking, how lucky I am that I met you. I meant every word. His eyes sparkled. Same here. We strolled the familiar tree-lined avenue, streetlights stretching our shadows long and thin. Then I looked up, and every drop of blood in me turned to ice. Derek stood beneath the next lamp, a thin black coat hanging off his frame, loneliness etched in every line. He was thinner, haggard. The arrogance once carved in his face had been gouged out, replaced by a hollow darkness. 3 years had not refined him. They had stripped every last gleam away. A ghost climbing from hell. He had crossed worlds to find me. Aiden felt me stiffen and followed my gaze. Someone you know? I couldn't answer. I only clutched Aiden's hand harder. Derek saw us. His gaze locked on me first. Dead eyes reigniting with frantic, unbelieving sparks. Then his sight slid downward to my hand clasped in Aiden's, and those sparks were swallowed by a typhoon of jealousy and pain. Wind lifted the hair across his forehead. I couldn't read every twist of his features, only knew he was walking toward us. I halted. Aiden halted too, hands still warm around mine. Derek's stare felt like twin blades nailed through my chest. When he reached us and saw Aiden, saw our joined hands, whatever light that had flared in him died, leaving only suffocating gloom. He came closer, every footfall landing on my pulse. Aiden drew me half a step behind him, protective, looking straight at the stranger bristling with menace. Aiden spoke calmly. Can I help you, sir? Derek didn't even glance at him. His eyes devoured only me. Babe. His voice was shredded, raw with a vulnerability I had never heard. You're alive. I shrank further behind Aiden. The small motion cut Derek like glass. Who is he? Derek's voice snapped sharp, soaked in jealousy. Tell me, who is he? He lunged to grab me. Aiden blocked him. Sir, please show some respect. Get lost. Derek shoved Aiden aside, bloodshot eyes fixed on me. Come home with me. He stretched out his hand. On his wrist still sat the watch I'd given him 3 years ago. I searched 3 years, 3 whole years. I thought you were dead. I've lived in hell every single day. Babe, come home, please. His tone begged, carried the humble edge of a man on his knees. All I felt was bitter irony. I looked straight at him and spoke, slow and distinct. Derek, you've mistaken me for someone else. His expression ossified. I don't know you. Aiden's steady hand settled on my shoulder, giving silent strength. Let's go. I nodded and turned away. Don't you dare walk away. Derek seized my arm from behind, grip crushing. You don't know me? The watch you gave me, the clothes you picked, the home you decorated. You forgot everything? Look me in the eye and say again that you don't know me. His accusation turned my stomach. I wrenched my hand away, my eyes glacial. Sir, have some self-respect. I told you, I don't know you. If you bother me again, I'll call the police. Police. The word dumped a bucket of ice water over his head. He stared at me, stunned by the strangeness and disgust in my gaze. That look hurt him worse than the note I'd left 3 years ago. Why? He mumbled it. Lost. Soulless. Why won't you forgive me? It was a dare. I lost the bet. It was all fake. He rattled out the excuses, grasping for the last straw. I never touched anyone else. You were always the only one. I looked at him and suddenly smiled. Derek. I finally said his name. Do you really think any of this matters now? I saw the lipstick mark with my own eyes. I held the condom in my own hand. How am I supposed to believe it was fake? Even if it was, the fact that you chose to test me that way is the biggest insult of all. Each sentence peeled another layer of color from his face. In your eyes, my love was just some cheap thing you could trample and laugh at, right? He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Didn't you want to see me jealous? You saw it. I used my life to show you. Are you satisfied now? His body swayed violently, as if he could no longer stand. Aiden took my hand and led me away. I didn't look back. Behind me I heard a raw, pain-filled roar, then the heavy thud of knees hitting concrete. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. My old dream had already rotted on that riverside 3 years ago. I thought after that meeting Derek would vanish from my world for good. I was wrong. The next day I saw him again. He had parked that glaring Maybach at the corner across the street. The window was half down, revealing a haggard face. His gaze stuck to me without blinking. Aiden noticed too. Want me to go deal with him? He frowned. I shook my head. Just ignore him. I hugged Aiden, watched him walk into campus, then turned and headed for the subway. Derek's car followed, neither near nor far, like a ghost haunting the rearview mirror. I entered my office and started the day. He sat in the cafe across the street, by the window, watching. After work I went to the supermarket for groceries. He trailed me there, peeking through the shelves, watching me pick tomatoes and eggs, watching me haggle with an auntie over a single scallion, all the ordinary sparks of my life he'd never seen before. I could imagine how he felt. He'd always stood on high, certain I couldn't survive without him. Yet here I was, alive and building a brand new life, a truth more unbearable than death. Bag in hand, I walked out. Aiden waited at the entrance. He took the groceries naturally and laced his fingers with mine. Tomato scrambled eggs tonight, he asked, smiling. And seaweed soup for you. Side by side we walked home, chatting about nothing. The setting sun stretched our shadows long, overlapping. Not far away, the black Maybach sat like a lonely tomb. Engine off. Derek didn't follow any farther. He stayed in the car, watching us disappear into the building, watching the warm light come on in the window that belonged to Aiden and me, a warmth he could never touch again. The days repeated. He became a sordid voyeur of my life, watching Aiden and me leave together, return together, watching us shop, watch movies, watching Aiden slip off his jacket in the rain and pull me under its shelter. All the tenderness he'd once given me, then tossed away, now came back twofold from another man. I don't know when he finally left each night, or whether he went back to that cold empty mansion, or simply slept in the car. I only knew the light in his eyes dimmed day by day, his whole frame wilting faster than autumn leaves. At last, one weekend morning, he blocked my path. I was heading out for a jog. He burst from nowhere, unshaven, eyes sunken, reeking of alcohol. We need to talk, he croaked. I've got nothing to say to you. I stepped around him. He seized my wrist. Just 5 minutes. Please. Derek, had actually said please. I stopped and regarded him coldly. Speak. That whole thing was a joke between me and Lee Hao, he blurted. The perfume was fake. The lipstick mark was Lee Hao's kiss. All of it was staged. He thought this explanation would buy forgiveness. He didn't understand. I looked at him and felt only pity. Derek, you still don't get it, do you? Truth or lie, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is you chose to hurt me that way. The last flicker of hope drained from his face. No, I let go. My voice was sub-zero. His grip tightened. Babe, give me one more chance. I said let go. I snapped. Just then the apartment door opened. Aiden stepped out, seeing us. His expression darkened. He strode over, caught Derek's wrist and flung it away. I warned you to stay away from her. Derek staggered, then steadied himself. Eyes feral. This is between her and me. Who the hell are you? I'm her boyfriend now, Aiden said, shielding me, and her future husband. You're nothing but trash that should have been taken out long ago. The words drove straight into Derek's heart like a blade. He stared at Aiden, then at me, as if to verify the truth. I said nothing. My silence was answer enough. Husband. He chewed the word, a twisted smile rising. You. He lunged, fist swinging. Aiden didn't flinch. He sidestepped, caught Derek's wrist, twisted it behind his back and slammed him against the wall. Clean, precise, effortless. I blinked, surprised. I'd always thought Aiden was just a gentle art teacher. Ashford, grown-ups own their choices, Aiden said coldly. 3 years ago you failed to cherish her. Now you have zero right to disturb her. Show up again and I won't stop at pinning you to a wall. He released his hold. Derek panted, straightened his rumpled collar. Didn't swing again. He simply bored into me with bloodshot eyes, resentment, madness, despair, and something I couldn't read, then turned and stumbled away. A lone tree split by lightning. After that day Derek truly vanished. My life seemed to regain its calm. The system told me later. Derek had taken revenge on Lee Hao and Jason, a self-immolation that punished them and himself alike. He locked himself inside, drinking and smoking day after day, seeing no one. I listened to all of it without the slightest ripple inside. I even found it a little ridiculous. Did he really think this could make up for anything? Did he believe that losing everyone and ending up alone would buy my pity? He still didn't understand. A shattered mirror can never be whole again. A heart that has died can never come back to life. That afternoon Aiden carried home an easel. He said he wanted to paint me. I smiled and agreed. The midday sun was perfect, pouring through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I sat in a chair by the window, a book in my lap. Across from me Aiden mixed his colors with total concentration. In the sunlight his profile looked unbelievably gentle. "Don't move," he said softly. So I really didn't move. I only looked at him quietly, at the focus in his eyes, at the long fingers gripping the brush, at the faint smile that lifted the corner of his mouth without his noticing. Time felt perfectly still. Those 4 words, "Time stands still," suddenly had a living shape. "What are you thinking?" he asked suddenly, without stopping his work. "That I'm probably very lucky." "Why do you say that?" "Because I met you." "I meant every word." Aiden lifted his gaze. The smile in his eyes deepened. "Me too." He said nothing more, only kept painting. The room held nothing but the soft scrape of bristles on canvas and the steady beat of my heart. He painted for so long I almost drifted off. "It's finished," Aiden said at last. Curious. I walked over. On the canvas sat the window version of me. Sunlight. Book. My peaceful profile. He'd captured it well, almost a perfect likeness. But he had also painted something in my eyes I hadn't known was there, a trace of quiet sorrow. "Do I really look like that?" I asked, pointing uncertainly. "Yeah." He nodded. He set the brush down and slipped his arms around me from behind. His chin rested on my shoulder, his voice warm against my ear. "I know you carry a lot of past. I won't ask, but I'll stay with you until every last bit of that sadness turns to starlight." My nose stung with sudden heat. I turned and buried myself in his chest. "Aiden. Do you think I'm cold, heartless?" He had seen exactly how I treated Derek. "No." He stroked my hair gently. "I only know that anyone who could turn someone as warm as you this cold must have hurt you terribly. I feel for you." 4 simple words, yet they brought every wall I'd built crumbling down. For 3 years I'd pretended I was strong, mature, untouchable. Aiden's single sentence found the softest spot inside me. Tears fell without warning. I clung to him as if he were my last breath. "It's behind you now," he murmured, patting my back the way you soothe a scolded child. "From now on, you have me." I cried until I couldn't catch my breath, as though I were emptying 3 years' worth of grievance and pain, crying for the 3 years I'd wasted on love misgiven, and for the cold body I myself had abandoned in that other world. When the tears finally stopped, I felt lighter. The secrets I could tell no one, the wounds that had festered in the dark, seemed to heal a little in his tenderness. I looked at him and spoke with utter seriousness. "Aiden, once I've settled everything, let's get married, okay?" He froze. Then pure joy flooded his eyes. "Okay." He nodded hard and hugged me even tighter. "I'll wait." The day we filed the papers the weather was gorgeous, no lavish ceremony, no packed hall, no white gown, just the 2 of us and 2 brand new marriage certificates. Outside the bureau Aiden held my hand as though he'd never let go. "You're Shin now." He looked down at me, starlight and tenderness swirling in his eyes. I nodded and squeezed back. Yes, I was Shin now, the woman who'd belonged to Derek's world. Together with that absurd love, was meant to be buried for good. On the way home the sky suddenly darkened. A downpour was about to break. We hurried. The moment we reached the apartment entrance I stopped dead. A figure stood like a soulless statue at the door. Derek. How long he'd been there I couldn't tell. He wore only a thin shirt, the wind whipping the hem. He looked gaunter than before, eyes sunken, stubble blackening his jaw, exuding decay and despair. When he saw us, saw the newlywed joy still on Aiden's face, his hollow stare locked on me. "Shin, please leave," Aiden said, stepping in front of me. Derek ignored him. Those lifeless eyes bored into me. "What's that in your hand?" Before the words had settled, fat raindrops crashed down 1, 2, then endless sheets. Aiden tried to pull me inside, but Derek lunged and blocked us. Gaze finally dropping to the red booklet in my hand. The last trace of color drained from his face. "Married," he whispered, as if the word were foreign. "You married him?" He advanced through the pounding rain, water streaming down his haggard cheeks. Rain. Or maybe tears. "How could you marry him? Babe, how could you do this to me? I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have played that sick joke. Shouldn't have tested you. Everything was my fault. I ruined Lee Hao and Jason, made everyone who hurt you pay. I walked away from the Ashford family. From everything, I want only you." Words tumbled out in frantic pleas, but I only looked at him coldly. I had once imagined our wedding countless times. He had whispered promises of a citywide spectacle, so everyone would know I was was his Ashford. Those vows still rang in my ears. Now he stood before me, wretched as a dog its master has kicked aside. "Derek," I said, "are you done making scenes?" My words shattered his last defense. His legs buckled and he dropped to his knees in the muddy water. The once proud man knelt beneath the torrent, head tilted up, eyes annihilated. "Don't." His lips trembled, voice breaking. "Don't do this to me. I beg you, one more chance, the last one. I'll give you my life, okay?" Aiden's grip tightened. I felt the tension, the fury he held back. I looked up, gave him a calming glance, then slipped my hand free and walked straight to Derek. I stared into his eyes and spoke each word clearly. "Derek, 3 years ago I already died once. That life was my repayment to you. This life is mine alone. With it I will love someone else and live my own life." I turned away without another glance, returned to Aiden, and took his warm hand again. "Let's go home." "No." Derek's hoarse howl tore through the rain. We didn't look back. We stepped inside and the heavy door slammed, shutting out the storm and the man's despairing roar. Back inside, Aiden found a dry towel and gently dabbed my soaked hair. The apartment was warm and dry, another world from the wind-whipped night outside.